Did I do that? I also got Conor Sweeney here and Rob Highland. There's also some other crew hiding right there. Chelsea worked on this, so anyways. How's it going?
Amazing. So fun, dude. Congrats on this movie. It's such an accomplishment. I can't imagine how difficult this shoot would have been.
Very.
I'm sure. Like just for an indie film, just the sheer amount of prosthetics, characters, battle scenes, fight scenes, animals, swamps, liquids, wigs, everything. It's just absolutely insane. But let's start at the beginning here. How did you get involved with Deathstalker? It's an IP. It's something that's been around forever. How did you get there?
The guys at Raven Banner presented me with a list of Corman properties that they had access to through Shout Factory, because Shout Factory bought part of their catalog, the New Horizons catalog, I think. Corman had a bunch of companies, that was one of them. And so I looked at the list, I went right down to D and saw Deathstalker and was like, give me that, please. I haven't made a fantasy movie yet, and I am a fantasy fan. Not in the kind of obvious sense of 80s fantasy movies. I grew up more on fantasy video games. I've mentioned this a lot in other Q&As, but I'm a big fan of Heretic and Hexen. Playing those in the early 90s was a big deal to me. Yeah, some Hexen heads out there. And yeah, Magic cards and just Xena and Hercules, all these other 90s things orbiting around fantasy movies before I even discovered Deathstalker. I feel like my first fantasy movie was Army of Darkness, another thing I constantly mentioning in all my Q&As, but love that movie, and there's a lot of that DNA in this, obviously. So yeah, when I saw this opportunity to make a fantasy movie finally, I was like, I just had to do it.
That's amazing, and this movie seems like a dream project for you. I mean, you do so many prosthetics, you do so much makeup effects, costumes, character designs, and this is just a smorgasbord of it.
Well, to just make my own reality too. Most of my movies start in some vague approximation of the real world, and then it goes off the rails. Frankie Frico being a good example of that. This one I could just start in Crazy Town and just go to different parts of Crazy Town, so that was very exciting to me, to just make up my own bullshit logic to everything, where it's oh, maybe you just sprinkle powder on a torch and snap your fingers and it lights up. That can make sense in my world. I don't have to explain it. So yeah, just the opportunity to use my imagination in that way and not have to justify things was so exciting to me.
Yeah, magic. Let's talk about Daniel. Bringing him on board, how'd that work? Guys, Deathstalker, how awesome is he? Aside from doing a million projects before this and just being fucking a legend, what brought you to him? How'd you guys connect?
I've just always liked him as an actor and as an action man. The Bloodsport sequels, Matrix Reloaded. I mean, I could just list all the movies he's in. But yeah, I was watching Bloodsport 4, The Dark Kumite, and I was just clocking wow, he's really selling this movie. This movie that opens saying takes place in New York City, but it's clearly Bulgaria. And yeah, he just he's in this straight-to-video schlock, and he's selling it so hard. And I remember watching it and thinking I feel like this guy would be at home in one of my weird universes, and he'd be able to sell it in the same sort of way. So I had mentioned this to Michael at Raven Banner. I was like, hey, my ideal choice is Daniel Bernhardt. And he's like, oh, I just happened to have worked with him 20 years prior on some straight-to-video movie that shot in Toronto. So he reached out to him. We hopped on a Zoom together. We broed instantly and became buddies. And that's really all there was to it.
That's awesome, and I would only assume that he brought a lot of the choreography and training that he's been doing all his life to this movie, because one, the fight scenes are awesome. They're non-stop and they look real, they feel real, they feel the hits feel real, the moves feel real. How was that for you even being on set and seeing them pull all that together?
It was very intimidating for me because Daniel takes that side of his work very seriously, He brought a bunch of his stunt team along to help choreograph the fights and kind of like steer that ship. So for me, on the other side, I'm like, okay, you've got these cool fights choreographed. Now here's my awkward rubber monster, and here's Matt Nidabar in a two-headed troll suit, and he can't see or hear or breathe or speak or move. And now that cool, elaborate fight, make that work with this guy. And so, it was like two totally different worlds colliding. But because Daniel also has so much experience in the budget world, like he understands like no time and no resources, so he knows how to, use his imagination, be creative in the moment, and make things work. And so it was always like obstacles being presented, and all of us just huddling and being like, how do we make this happen? How do we make this scene work? How do we make this fight as epic as we can, even though, he's like up against the obstacles that I'm kind of placing in front of him with my rubber monsters.
Speaking of these rubber monsters, like the movie is amazing because it's like flipping through them like your version of the monster manual. Was there a character that you designed that you were like, damn, I'm dying to see this on camera? Like, is there one that just really stood out to you that you were like, I can't wait to see, or is this even gonna work?
Yeah, I mean, Saitor was a real like, boy, I hope this is a thing on set. Because we were kind of like, me and Josh Wasling, who I sculpted all the creatures with, that one specifically we sculpted in pieces. So we didn't even know what the final thing was gonna look like or how that wheel head was even gonna work. That one I was happy to have actually come together on the day. But I was real excited for Troy James's Scarabus character, because years ago, back on The Void, I remember Troy telling me he really wanted to play Voldo from Soul Calibur. And so I kept that in the back of my head, and I was like, I'm gonna make him a Voldo adjacent thing at some point. So this is my opportunity to kind of pay that off and give him a character where he can be Twisty Troy, but also be a Cyclops mummy man with a saw blade.
And I gotta ask you guys, what's it like? I assume you've been on, I know you've been on multiple Steve Kostanski sets. Like, what was this movie like? How was it different? Like, the scale of it was so huge. Like,
yeah, I had no expectation when Steve said that he got Deathstalker that I was going to be involved in any way. I felt lucky to be in Frankie Frico. And this is like 20 years in the making. When Matt Kennedy and I used to live in Winnipeg when we were doing Astron 6 stuff, Steve worked at the video store across the street from our apartment. And we would just have like movie nights all the time. Steve would bring stuff over, and the Astron 6 guys, we would watch whatever silly movie. And Deathstalker was one of them. And we made these series of shorts called Goreblade, which were a parody of Deathstalker. And so it's so weird now, 20 years later, to see Steve making an actual Deathstalker movie. It's got like, Goreblade had the little, Salacious Crumb eyeball. So there's all of these, it's just so weird to see with a real budget. And so then to get to actually play a part in it, and kind of a Prince Valium, I imagine this is like what Prince Valium would be like if he actually had more screen time in Spaceballs. It wasn't so tired, and it was really my easiest Steve role, I think. I got to be in like a nice climate-controlled environment in a warehouse. I wasn't getting the shit kicked out of me by little puppets for an entire movie. So yeah, it was great, and obviously, having worked with him for 20 years, we've got a shorthand, so I know what he thinks is funny, and it's always so nice to be on a set with your friends rather than professionals.
Yeah, I mean, it was a genuine pleasure. Every day a new batch of footage would come in, and it was either an awesome fight scene or an insane gore gag. Unbelievable, really. Like, this is the favorite thing I've ever worked on, hands down, yeah.
Amazing. And is there anything that, got cut that you just wish could have stayed in? Is there a character, is there anything, or did it all make it in?
I mean, there was gonna be a waterfall shower scene with Daniel, where Doodad was gonna be peeping on him, and we were gonna make a puppet where Doodad's eyes bugged out, as he's like staring at Daniel's butt while he's watching himself. But we just didn't get around to that. So maybe but yeah, I mean, we didn't. I think of like stuff we shot that just got on the cutting room floor. There wasn't really like full scenes that got axed. We kind of used everything we had.
Speaking of Doodad, Pat and Oswald, like how did that connection happen? How did that come together?
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of been orbiting my stuff for a little while now. He's actually attached to a PG animated series that we've been shopping around trying to get off the ground. So he's attached to that as a producer and potentially as a voice actor for it. And so I've been chatting with him in Zoom meetings and stuff while we're doing these pitches. And Shout Factory knows him from the Mystery Science Theater revival. So yeah, he was just kind of around. And so when we're tossing around voices for Doodad, we pitched Pat and Oswald. We were like, well, somebody just reach out and see what he says. And he was super into it. And it was awesome to work with. It was like one sprint of a day of him in LA in a recording studio and me in Winnipeg on Zoom, talking him through it. And I can tell you that the line, "Did I do Dad?" he really did not like. And he was giving me shit for it. And I was like, please just do it anyway. Yeah, I think it was worth it.
And I mean, continuing on like the all-star gang that put this whole movie together, / like being involved, obviously, Beer McCreary, it's such a dream to kind of work with some of these artists as well. Like, how did those come together?
I mean, all this was such a snowball effect, and once we started making the movie, all these other interested parties started becoming involved. Like, Slash, I guess, has been involved with Raven Banner for a while. He is a big genre head and wants to get into producing movies, so he's attached as an EP on this. And then because of that, and because of all his connections, because he's Slash, decided to make us a cool theme song for the movie. And so, yeah, one day just showed up in my inbox, and we were like, we better pepper this song throughout the whole movie, because it's freaking awesome.
And it is awesome. And I mean, like, damn, going from watching Deathstalker and, you know, with the gang of buds to like watching this happen and having all these insane people around it, supporting it, and helping create such a fucking badass movie. It's awesome.
Well, yeah, it's proof that there is like a demand for this kind of thing and a real nostalgia for like an era of, especially fantasy movie that doesn't exist anymore. I mean, there's lots of great fantasy stuff out there. It's just all super high budget stuff. And I feel like stuff on the lower budget scale, it'd be nice to see more of it, just because that's where you can really get inventive and do some wacky stuff. So,
What do you guys think? I also just gotta say, it's like, I love that, you know, the span of your career doing all these insanely wild films, they have such a specific feel and humor and style to them. And like, this movie obviously just drips of Steve Kostanski. And I love that you're kind of in an era now where people are saying, oh, I'm going to see the new Steve Kostanski movie. It's called Deathstalker. You know, like, you've kind of come to a point.
well, I just love that it sounds like a lot of this crowd was at the Frankie screening last year, which is, I don't know, it just makes me feel real good. Like, it's all about community to me. I like hiring my same crew over and over again. I want to be surrounded by my friends, and coming back to this theater feels like I'm with friends here now. So
Oh.
Like a brotherly hug. We're gonna open it up to some questions. So who do we got here? We'll pop over here nice and loud.
When can we get the soundtrack?
I think they released the songs online right now. I think there will be a vinyl. I'm really not the guy to ask, because all this stuff is just kind of like happening around me, and I get an email usually as it's being put out into the world. So, but yes, it will be coming out. We're not gonna put Slash's song on a shelf and be like, well, that's the end of that. You'll get it at some point. Stay tuned.
Who else do we got? How about right over there?
I see. I was wondering, that's an amazing sword.
Yeah, the perfect sword.
Were you inspired by the three-bladed sword from the sword and the sorcerer?
Yeah, and it really shows how far my brain can go. In that, my logic was, well, what if instead of 3, it had 4 blades? But yeah, I love Sword and the Sorcerer. Albert Pune, that guy rocks. Yeah, he's the best.
Awesome. Yeah, how about way over there? Yeah.
So I've loved watching your VFX, your visual stuff evolve over the years. Can you tell us some of your favorite VFX shots, whether it's from Deathstalker or other movies, and maybe how you made them?
So you say VFX, are you referring to stuff that I had to do in After Effects or stuff that I did practically?
Really practically.
Practically? Okay.
Makeup or gore shots or any of your favorite shots.
I really like the melt that I did on this one, the reverse melt of the dreadite growing.
Yeah.
That was real fun to do, and it's real satisfying to watch on a big screen. It feels so legitimately of the era. And also, I just like doing it. It's just fun, like making wax copies of things and then standing there for 15 minutes with a heat gun melting it. It's just something so satisfying about it. So yeah, I'm really proud of that. I don't know, I like everything. All the gore and gags and stuff. The pig man getting his head ripped open, that was a fun build. Yeah, there's nothing more satisfying than a good blood gag like that. So yeah, and it's hard to really isolate specific things because I have fun doing all of it. The miniatures are super fun. Yeah, the creature suits. I love it all.
Just to add on to that, because I'm curious too, it's like, you obviously spent a ton of time designing this stuff before you shot the movie.
Not as much time as you'd think.
Like, were you doing like 3 gore gags a day? Like, it just feels like the amount of blood in this movie, the amount of like, just quick shots of someone getting their head sliced down the center. Like, those all take time. They're all builds. They're all effects. Like, all that stuff. I mean, I know it takes a long time on set as well.
It's usually just efficient scheduling of these things. Like when they're in Grimvault, the castle ruins, and there's a bunch of gags there. It was a case of knowing, like, okay, we're gonna wrap up this dialogue scene. Let's tag a gore gag onto the end of that before we break for lunch. And so I tell the prosthetics guys, hey, could you like rig this up, like put the head on a C-stand or something, just have it standing by. So the minute we're done this dialogue scene, we can, Daniel can go do push-ups or whatever. And we'll just bring this head in and we'll shoot it real quick. So yeah, it's just being on top of things is the key, and knowing like, oh, there's a window of time and we got 45 minutes, let's split this guy's head in half.
And also being an effects master and being able to do it quickly.
Well, and having a good team, that's also important. Like I had a great prosthetics team on this. I mean, all the departments really came together, like prosthetics, like physical effects, wardrobe, makeup, art department, everybody just really gelled on this one, and I hope I get to use that exact same team again on the next one, because it was so fun watching all these people cook. They were just the best.
Sorry, I'm going to keep going to the audience. I have a million questions still. We'll talk another time. Let's go right here in the center.
2-part. One's a comment though. The Deathstalker song is on Spotify. I just looked it up.
Cool. Good.
And number 2, you guys tell me you went back really, really far. Was there any like your first projects that like are nostalgic to you guys right now? Like anything in there that kind of brought up any of that or anything like that?
Like projects that we made like back in the Astron
Back
6
in the day,
days.
like the 20 years ago, back in Winnipeg kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm nostalgic for the Manborg days. That was such a stupidly ambitious thing to do. But also, I was talking to Adam Brooks the other day about shooting Laser Ghost 2, Return to Laser Co. And that was, yeah, there's some people who know. it was my favorite setup of, like, I come up with all the sci-fi action bullshit, and then these guys, I just roll camera on them and they do funny stuff in between those moments. And yeah, just thinking back on some of your guys' riffs back in the day, so good. What a wonderful time. I miss it.
All right, how about right here?
I was curious. I noticed very early on that there felt like there was influences from Berserk, and I wanted to know if there actually was or not.
Yes, and originally his hairstyle was supposed to be a little more Griffith, but I wasn't really feeling that wig that we found, so we swapped to more of a straight hair wig.
I like
But
the straight hair more.
yeah, but the intention was to make him a little bit more like Griffith. Sorry, this is inside baseball for all the Berserk heads. There's a few.
The Attack on the Lost, that's where I could tell that he was having the scene, he's like getting off to the side of the
Well, I'm glad you clocked that. Did anybody clock that the Kingdom of Abraxian is a reference to Abraxas, Guardian of the Universe, starring Jesse Ventura and Sven Mikkelsen? That's the right answer to that.
Amazing. Who else do we got here? Maybe way at the back, in the gray.
Oh, perfect. Hate to be the asshole who's like, that's cool that you're doing IP. What other IP would you do? But like, I think you would rent at like Tremors or something. Is there like an IP that you're just like, holy shit, this would be so fun to do?
I mean, it's Doom. It's always Doom. That's all I want to do. I like grew up on it. It's just like burned into my DNA at this point. And I mean, if I don't get it, I'll just make my own version of it at some point. But honestly, anything. I love the challenge of being handed a thing, especially like something like Deathstalker, where nobody asked for this. We can all agree on that. So to be presented with the challenge of like, here's essentially a dead franchise, what can you do with this to make it worth watching again? I feel like that triggers my imagination and really, and it's just a fun challenge, so.
What was the one you wanted? When you showed us the catalog of Corman stuff, and there was something I wanted you to do so badly, and you wanted it was a Slumber Party Massacre.
Yeah,
They did it. Yeah, they
but
made
we wanted
it.
to do a riff on it where it was a bunch of dads on a dad weekend. Yeah, not a bunch of beauties, just a bunch of dumpy dads, just getting away from the wives for a weekend, and maybe they're being chased by a beautiful lady killer. Yeah, let's make that movie.
All right, right here.
So being Deathstalker and a Corman type movie, where was the nudity?
Yeah, well, I get that question every once in a while, and here's my response. When I went to the video store and I saw the box art for Deathstalker, I saw, obviously, a scantily clad woman. I also saw cool monsters. I rented the movie, and I didn't get cool monsters. So my intention behind this film was, well, I'm going to deliver the other half of the poster, because we've got 4 movies full of kids. How about one that actually delivers on what I can do? So, yeah, that's my answer.
Just wait for Slumber Party Massacre.
All right, we'll do 1 or 2 more questions here. How about Luther?
So you said it was a bit of a snowball effect, and like Slash came on as an executive producer later. So were there moments where like you had the idea, and then as like more people came on, you could be like, oh, we could do like more Dreadites in these shots if the budget was getting bigger, or?
No, it was the opposite. I wrote it real big, and then it was just a process of shaving down and down and down, and then trying to figure out, well, how can we make it feel big? Like draft 1 of the script, I had that horse run away because I knew. I knew what was coming. I knew the conversations that were coming, so I was like, better make them skedaddle as quickly as possible. Have just enough horse to put in the trailer, which I think was already Roger Corman logic. And then, yeah, then they're just hoofing it for the rest of the movie.
Where was it shot? Like, because it did seem like the scale was very large.
It was Sudbury, Ontario. And some of it was in studio at CineSpace, off Kipling there. And yeah, I mean, part of my aesthetic for this movie that I wanted was that feeling of even when you're outside, you're clearly inside in a studio, which is like a very Xena, Hercules, Mortal Kombat Conquest starring Daniel Burkhardt. Or my personal favorite, the live-action Fist of the North Star movie from the early 90s, which, you know, is this wasteland epic that's shot entirely in a warehouse somewhere. So I just love the like weird unreality of that, and I felt like a fantasy movie is a good excuse to lean into that and have that kind of, yeah, unreality and the weird sense of like, oh, this is supposed to be a big vista, but I can kind of feel the backdrop. Like the swamp scene is a good example of that. But Sudbury did provide us lots of awesome locations. There was a slag pit that we shot in. That's the opening of the movie. That's just like, it feels like you're on another planet. It's so huge and epic, and the landscape the terrain is so weird. It's like molten metal. And so, yeah, we're really lucky we found some cool spots to give us some scope, and then, yeah, the rest of it was just really clever studio shooting to make it feel big. Yeah.
I just want to say, I missed this at the Toronto premiere. The last version I saw before the premiere was like an assembly cut with none of the visual effects in it. And the part where it seems like the king at world building. He's always been like, that's always what he's brought to our stuff. And the part where they're walking, exposition dialogue, and there's like a kaiju battle in the background is so funny. Because that's like its own movie, that fight. And then like this world, that stuff is so common that it's like walking past, you know, a building. Very funny.
Yeah, the idea behind that was this is the equivalent of like road construction in this universe. So characters will have to get from one place to another, but they'll have to take a detour because like, oh, the rock gods are fighting today. So we gotta go around them. And yeah, the idea is they never even acknowledge them because this is just so routine at this point that they just know to go around. They know they're gonna take an extra 20 minutes to get to wherever they need to go. So, yeah.
Amazing. We'll do last question right here.
Is there any chance of MST3K or Riff Tracks version of this movie?
If they want to. I mean, I haven't asked them. Rob, have you asked them? And? Okay. You heard it here first. I mean, I'd be into it, but I never even thought about it until you brought it up, so. Yeah, why not?
Well, I'm gonna just end it on the obvious question here of what's next. Is there more Deathstalker? Is there more?
We'll see how it does. You know.
You guys want some more?
Yeah.
Well, it really depends. Everyone out here, share, spread the word.
Yeah.
Post about it. Take photos of the poster, whatever you can to spread the word about it. It helps films like this so much more than you even know.
It really does.
If everyone in this room went home and posted about it, it would change the trajectory of this movie. And that's, you know, hopefully what everyone does, and keep supporting it. And if you want to see more Deathstalker, just keep waving the Deathstalker flag.
Yeah, please do.
Amazing. Let's put our hands together. Steve Kostanski. Guys. And thank you guys so much. Thank you to Playhouse as well, Living, everyone who put this movie together.